It's time for the Property Podcast, where every week tens of thousands of property investors, new and experienced, join together to get news, knowledge and laughs at our expense. With me, Rob Bence.
And me, Rob Dix. Join us every Thursday morning for your weekly dose of property ideas and motivation. Then head over to our website at thepropertypodcast.com to keep the conversation going. Now though, let's get started.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Property Podcast. It is episode 146. I hope you've had a wonderful Christmas, you haven't put too many notches on the belt, and you are ready to get back into property, because we are, Rob.
Oh yeah, more than ready. In fact, I've never really left it, because over Christmas I've been putting the finishing touches to two books, my new one and a new version of a previous one with a load of updates, and recording the audio books for both of those. So I'm all propertied out. It's like there's been no holiday at all.
Fantastic. Well, I look forward to hearing more about the future shortly.
Oh, very good. Good link. Yes, that's what we are talking about today. 2015 in review and what's coming up next year. So yes, it's an episode about ourselves. So this is probably going to be one of the longest ones we've done this year. But normal service will be resumed next week. So as part of this, we're going to talk about all the cool stuff we've got coming up for the podcast in January and beyond. First, though, we've got a news story, of course. News has been a little light in the last couple of weeks, as you would expect. But there's a story from earlier in December, which we've mentioned on the podcast a couple of times before, so we should really cover its conclusion. And this is Britain's biggest buy-to-let tycoons, Fergus and Judith Wilson, have sold. They've sold their 900-strong portfolio. This is something that's been in the press a lot, because they were kind of exemplars of the whole sort of, greedy, large-scale landlord phenomenon that we saw around sort of 2008 or so. There was a quote in this piece that I really loved. It says, Mr. Wilson told the Telegraph of the couple's success. It was remarkably easy because no one knew what they were doing. I didn't care if I didn't make a profit as long as I owned the properties. I just thought that's a perfect example of why we've now got all the tax changes and everything that we have because of things like that. That shouldn't be possible, and it shouldn't really be possible to get out of that with a whacking great £250 million deal and a big profit, if you ask me. But there you go. Well done them, I suppose.
Yeah, well done. They've done great. They do note that the empire they've built couldn't be built today, because so many changes have happened. And that's not just the recent changes. Ever since the property crash, the recession, the credit crunch, all the changes that came after that meant that the way the couple built this portfolio couldn't be done today, because actually they bought the majority of their homes, their properties, with no money. So, yes, I know for people who are new to property, that sounds crazy, and today it is. But that's why we probably had a crash, Rob, because you could build a portfolio worth a few hundred million for nothing. So they've done great, and they've done a fantastic job, and I don't think their achievements should be underestimated. They certainly love the press, but regardless, they've done very, very well, and they've sold out, and they've made a fair bit of money by the sounds of it.
Yeah, weirdly, I think the story suggests that they've sold it for market value plus $1 million, is what it says in the story, which seems very weird to me. I'm not sure why anyone would pay over the asking price. Clearly, they haven't sold up to RMP. That would...
No, they have not, Rob.
But there you go. Anyway, that is our news story. And so we'll move on to our topic of the week, 2015 in review and what's coming up. We talked in last week's very brief Christmas Eve episode about the importance of looking back over the year that you've just had and looking at what's gone well and looking at things that haven't gone so well, but just in the sense of learning from that and making sure you don't make the mistake last year. So in the spirit of that, we're going to start this episode by taking a look back before we look forward. And quiet year, really, wasn't it? Oh, no, it wasn't at all. That was it.
No. But this is why this is so important, because we're not unique. We live busy lives, but so do the vast majority of people who listen to this podcast. You're here, you're there, you're everywhere. And it's sometimes really rewarding to take stock and look back at what you have achieved, because otherwise you can just burn yourself out. And I've been guilty of this recently when someone said, what are the big achievements of 2015 for you? And I actually had a mind blank. Which, as you'll realise in a few moments, was pretty stupid, because we have done quite a bit. And I'd say, Rob, one of the biggest successes of the year was launching 100 Property Investment Tips book, which went on to be an instant bestseller, got more reviews than property books that have been out for a decade within months, is still in the top 100 business books, and it has been since the day it launched, sells several hundred copies every single month without fail. It's done all right.
Yeah, it's done better than we expected, and we had quite high expectations. But the most gratifying thing about it is the whole point was to bring more people into the Property Hub, because the more people there are in there sharing their experience and their expertise, the more everyone benefits. And every day we're hearing from people who've found us via that book. So also, another thing that we started working on right back at the start of the year was the Property Hub magazine. It's unbelievable, actually, that it's less than a year since that came out because it feels like we've been working on it for such a long time. But we launched that. That was quite some undertaking, given that we knew absolutely nothing about how to publish a magazine. Fortunately, we hired some excellent people who did and helped us out with that. And the important thing is, I think in common with everything that we try to do, we didn't just do it for the sake of doing it. We tried to do it at the highest possible quality. And the quality is really high objectively in terms of the design and the content. And when we do the surveys, people really like it. Loads more improvements. And I'm very excited about the next issue because we've acted on a lot of things that I think are going to make it like 5 times as good as it is now. But just to have taken that within a year from an idea that we wanted to do but had no clue how, to having it done and 3 issues out there, does show what you can do in the space of 12 months.
It does. I mean, the magazine's been a real joy to work on and see come together, because we've done a bit on it, Rob. You've done more, but actually the team, the amount of work they've been able to do and produce, and the quality and everything, it's just something that's exceeded our expectations. And to have 1,000 paying subscribers is brilliant, considering it's been going less than a year. So absolutely fantastic. Really enjoyed that. And then something else we launched in 2015 was the network of meetups, something I am really, really loving. And this has only been launched recently. So this was in the latter part of this year. And in January, Rob, we've got 17 meetups running, including a few overseas. So that is just phenomenal. And I am loving attending different ones each month.
Yeah, me too. My favourite things this year actually have been having more opportunities to get out there and meet people. The meetups, every single one that I've been to, has just been fantastic. Meeting people who are doing seriously impressive stuff and people who are just getting started, and learning something from all of them. And another way in which we've been getting out there and meeting people is with our summits. And that's something else where it's like, I can't believe that the first one was this year, but it was. We've now run 4 Property Hub summits, which means we've met about 50 odd investors. And again, what an inspiring group of people to get to spend time with. It's been absolutely brilliant doing those. Again, a year ago, it was just kind of a concept. We thought, this sounds like it would be a cool thing to do. It allows us to do things that we can't do through any other channels. It allows us to bring in some money to fund all the free stuff that we do. It seemed like a good idea, but would it be? We've taken that and we've done it. And I've just had such a good time doing them. And again, from the feedback, we know that the attendees have as well.
Yeah, that's been really good. And we're looking forward to doing more on that next year, which we'll come to. And then, Rob, we've had our businesses as well. We don't often talk about it in the podcast. And so forgive us if we do mention it here. It's not a plug. It's just something we're proud of. Yellow Lettings, we completely overhauled this year. And when I say completely, we didn't tweak the website. We completely overhauled the business model. We hired staff, we put new systems in place, we introduced new software. I mean, when we say overhaul, we're not talking lightly. And the benefits and the improvements have happened very quickly, thankfully, from all the hard work, money, effort that's gone into that. It's been brilliant. And also, RMP, particularly proud of this year that every single investment launch we did this year was sold out in less than 24 hours. Which suggests one of 2 things. I can't find enough good investments, or we've got a lot of people who want to work with us, but we need to sort that out next year and find more investments. But as you can imagine, finding good deals isn't easy. So really successful from the main businesses that we run.
Yep, and we just about found time to buy a few properties as well. And there's often our own stuff that tends to get ignored and be thought of after everything else that we're doing. But all of that is documented in our progress journals on the Property Hub. And the point of talking about this isn't to go, oh, look at all this stuff that we've done. The reason for it is twofold. It's partially because looking back is really valuable to see and, do a bit of self-congratulation because if you've been pushing it hard, you need to recognize what's going well to keep yourself motivated. And also to realize just what can be accomplished in the space of a year. And there are lots of things that we're working on that we know that aren't perfect at the moment. And we've got big plans and sometimes it's quite daunting. But then if you look back and go, oh, well, a year ago, we were only here. It gives you masses of confidence for what can be accomplished within the next 12 months. So with that in mind, let's talk a little bit about what we've got coming up, including a load of very cool stuff for the podcast, loads more free stuff for the Hub and beyond, and a lot more.
Well, let's start off, Rob. You've already gave a teaser, but you've got a book out very soon. Very, very soon.
Yep, got a book coming out in January. We're going to be talking about that more on the podcast in the coming weeks, but the 28th of January is going to be the release date. I think that's the first time I've said it on a podcast, and therefore that now definitely has to happen. Oh dear.
The pressure has just moved up a few notches.
Yep. Also, we mentioned the Property Hub Summit earlier. One of the most common things that we've had people saying to us this year is, I'd love to come to a summit, but when are you going to do one outside London? To which we've said, but this is something that we are going to rectify. So people used to say this to us about meetups, because we always used to do our meetups in London and never anywhere else. And eventually we kind of removed ourselves as the bottleneck to that. And now we've got 17 of them across the country and indeed across the world. So that sorted that one out. We're going to do the same with summits as well. So we are going to do at least one summit outside London this year. Where? We don't know yet. If you'd like us to come to you, maybe you should let us know. But that's something that we feel strongly needs to be done.
We do. We're really looking forward to that. Also, less sexy, but really important, we're going to spend a lot of time on the Property Hub. The Property Hub, we didn't mention in what's happened in 2015, but it's grown so fast that it's run away from us in terms of where it's at. We kind of expected it to grow, but we just need to catch up now and put loads of effort into making it awesome. We think it's already, a really good resource and so many people enjoy it and use it. But we want to really throw our attention and time into making it just really the number one place for anybody who invests in property to go to online. So we are looking forward to putting our full weight behind that. And linked to that, Rob, lots more free stuff.
Yeah, lots more. So we met up just before Christmas and did some of our planning for next year. The theme of the year, I think, was optimization. So doing lots of the unsexy behind the scenes stuff that needs to be done that improves everything else. But as the other thing that we talked about a lot was just putting out even more content. So we're not doing bad on that front, but we've got loads of ideas for courses. So the video courses that we've got on the Hub are one of the most popular things. We've got people mention those all the time. We've got all these different channels now. Different topics are suited to different mediums. So there's some things that are easier to talk about on the podcast, others where the magazine is more suitable because you can get into more depth and be a bit more detailed. And then there's the courses, which is a great opportunity to sort of sit down for 45 minutes to an hour and really focus on one particular important area. We love to do those and we want to do a lot more of that next year. So listen out and we will talk about when we've got new stuff going live.
We will, and we'll be putting lots of effort into yellow lettings because projected without tweaking much at all, we're probably going to triple the size of the business in 2016 just because of all the hard work we put in now will allow us to accept enough people to get to that level, which is quite scary. And also RMP will nearly double in 2016 as well. So if we look like we've aged a lot at the meetups around the country, you'll know why. You see how much we've launched in 2015 and you know how much we've launched before that, the fact you're listening to a podcast, for example. We want to put our efforts into making all of these things awesome. So a lot of our year will actually be behind the scenes. Hopefully you'll notice it in the experience of these things. So of the podcast, the meetups, the hub, and everything else, you'll think, wow, this just get better and better. But in terms of seeing new things launched, we haven't got anything new, have we, Rob? Or have we?
Okay. I said that the theme was optimization. Maybe we're going to have one big mystery announcement. Maybe. We basically will, won't we? We've put it on Trello, and that means it's going to happen. Once it's on Trello, there's no going back. So yeah, we do have one thing planned for probably towards the middle of next year. So no more about that right now. But apart from that, it's just going to be loads more free stuff and making everything else better. And you know what? If we can accomplish putting out loads more cool stuff and improving everything we've already got, I'd count that as a pretty good year.
I would. And Rob, don't forget, we will also be investing in property as well. And we'll talk about that and our journeys and our investments throughout the year as well. So make sure you listen up for that. So a really exciting year. But to get that amount of stuff done and to achieve the amount of stuff we've done this year already, you have to have systems. You have to have a goal, Rob, and you have to put a strategy together to hit those goals. So how are we going to start off 2016 in style?
Well, we're going to start off by doing a series of podcasts that cover exactly those topics. So the first 4 podcasts of 2016 are first of all going to be an episode on goal setting, followed by a 3-part series on setting a strategy. And I think this is going to be super valuable for almost everyone, because wherever you are, whether you're just starting out or whether you've been investing for years and years and years, there's always going to be a need to set goals. And there's always going to be tweaks to make to your strategy and to review it to see if it still makes sense for you. I was just yesterday talking to someone who's had the most amazing few years in property and gone from nothing to a pretty seriously sized portfolio that's generating a lot of cash. And you'd think that, he can put his feet up now. But he was saying, no, now that the next 6 months is going to be the most important time for me, because I need to basically go back, set new goals and determine what my strategy is now, because I've hit all the original goals. So now I need to work out what comes next and decide what to do in terms of scaling, in terms of refinancing and everything else. So wherever you are, these aren't just kind of newbie episodes. These are episodes that I think will be beneficial in some way to everyone, because it is at the absolute heart of everything we do. And we talked about our own investments. We don't just go out and buy stuff willy-nilly. We buy things because they fit in with the strategy that we've got, and that strategy is designed to get us towards whatever our goal is. So it all links in. And I think as things are changing, getting a little bit tougher in some ways, but also opening up new opportunities in others, it's more important than ever to have a clear goal and to have a strategy before you do anything at all.
Agree. So I'm really excited about the start of the year. And of course, Rob, you've got a book to throw in the mix there as well. So it's not going to be a slow start to 2016, as of course you wouldn't expect us to be slow. We're going to come out all guns blazing and deliver loads and loads of content straight out the blocks. And don't worry, of course, we've got an awesome resource of the week for you now. But before we do that, let's give our thanks and praise to this wonderful human being who's left us a review. And this one's in from Ryan, 5 stars, of course, and he says, if you're interested in property development or you already do invest in property, then this podcast will help you develop your knowledge even further. Rob and Rob add their sense of humour to the podcast, which makes it easy to digest, and I always look forward to the next episode. They also provide online courses covering various property investment topics such as tax, yields, and so much more. All for free. What more could you ask for? Thank you, Rob and Rob, from a 23-year-old aspiring property investor. Hope to meet you in person. Please come to Belfast. We don't do a meetup there yet, Rob. It's maybe that's something we need to look at.
Let's get it on the list. We really should do.
Number 18.
Yeah, let's make it happen. In fact, that reviewer should lead it, I think.
Yeah, there you go, Ryan. Challenge made.
So there you go. You've just volunteered yourself for some work and you thought you were just doing us a favour. But no, thank you for that review. We really do love and appreciate all of those reviews. If you haven't left us a review yet, please do. They really help us out.
Right, Rob, you've dug out a gem of a resource, not one I was aware of at all. So where did you find it and how can you use it?
I wish you hadn't asked me where I'd found it, because this is another one. I think I did this a couple of weeks ago as well, where this was sent to me and I've completely lost the email where it got sent to me. And so now I don't know who submitted it.
What you should do then is cut out that bit and just take all the praise.
Okay.
Let's start again. So, Rob, where did you find it?
Yeah, Mr. Editor, if you can take all that out. Yeah, Rob, so this is a resource that I found the other day.
Oh, wow.
I like to spend a lot of my days digging out these valuable things for everyone to enjoy. And this is another Rightmove add-on. It's called Propcision. You've probably heard about the add-ons for Rightmove that will add in a little bit of extra data once you've installed them. So it will tell you how long it's been in the market for and any price changes and things like that. This is the same kind of thing, but it gives you more information. So supposedly it will tell you not only changes in price, but it'll have like a filter that detects motivated sellers based on price decreases. Also has expected rents, and will give you, therefore, like the anticipated yield as well. Now, the caveat here is at the moment, this only works for properties in London. So it's a good thing that we didn't develop this, because otherwise for every property, it would just like, no, don't buy it. But they are a lot more realistic than we are. And so it works for properties in London. Apparently, at some point, this is going to be expanded to the rest of the country as well. So this kind of thing, anything that's sort of like automatically generated, need to take with a bucket load of salt, because it's going to be nowhere near as accurate as you would have on your own. But as another little bit of data, as another filter, always good to have in the mix.
Absolutely. It looks great. It's a shame it's just London for now, but when it rolls out across the country, I think this is going to be a must-have app. It looks really, really good. Probably the best Rightmove extension I've seen so far. So whoever's built that, well done.
Yeah, so you will find a link to that, along with links to our news story and many of the other things that we've talked about in the show notes this week, which you'll find at thepropertyhub.net/2015 review.
Right, we've already told you what's coming up next week, but just to remind you, it's the goal setting course. Yes, we've talked about goals a lot, but we're going to refresh your memories on all the good stuff and bring some new stuff that we're now implementing ourselves so you can make the most of 2016. Do not miss this episode if you want 2016 to be your best year yet.
No, please do not miss that episode. Do join us then. But in the meantime, we'll just say thank you very much for listening. Hope you've enjoyed your festive period, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the Property Podcast. Make sure you join our mailing list at thepropertypodcast.com.
And remember, we love 5-star reviews. Rob even loves them more than air miles.